I very much feel part of this community. Many people that we're close to have chosen to live here, Baruch Hashem, and greatly enrich the community. I'm especially close with Rabbi David Goder, who over the years has spoken to me about JFS, the vision, as it happened, as it evolved, and what it's become. And over the years, I've gotten a sense of what kind of extraordinary organization it is. And I want to explain a moment why. We talk a lot about chesed. Chesed means helping people in need. It's a very, very important part of Yiddishkeit. No one needs any explanations. And I don't think that that really expresses fully what's unique about it and why it's such a critical organization. I want to pose a fascinating observation about the different Yom Tovim, the different holidays. You have Shalosh Regalim, which is Pesach, Shavuos, Sukkot. You have Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. And you have two Yom Tovim, so to speak, two holidays that are Hanukkah and Purim. The concept of mishpacha is mentioned only in three of those. One of them is Pesach, where you have Sela Beisavos. The first Pesach sacrifice was taken per family. That was the unit that was used. It was something that even afterwards is reflected in the concept of a chabura, meaning each Pesach sacrifice needed to have a unit designated. You have Hanukkah, you have Ner Ishu Beisai. The basic obligation is one Hanukkah lamp per family. It's nice, it's a nice hidur to do it with everyone separately, but the basic is Ishu Beiso. And on Purim, you have the pasuk Vayomim ha'elu niskarim v'nasim b'chol dor v'dor. The days of Purim are remembered and celebrated generation after generation. Mishpacha, mishpacha, medina, medina. Family, family. And Rashi says, misasfim yachad. Lechol ishtois. They come together, the family. So three of the Yom Tovim that we have mention and really are focused on family, and the other one's not. Is there a common denominator in these three observations, Yom Tovim? Why these three have such a strong emphasis on a family? So I'd like to reflect a minute about, we speak about unity, Jewish unity, Achdus. It's a topic, especially in these times, that's very much on people's minds and lips. So let's take an example, a body. A body has many cells working in harmony. But you can't have a soup of cells working together. So we have different strata, structural strata. We have tissue, which are cells of basically one kind, one function. They come together and form organs. So, for instance, a heart or lungs and so on will have different types of tissue, different types of cell working as a unit. And finally, you have the megastructure of the body, the entire person, where all the different organs work in harmony to keep the person alive. So organizationally, you can't take all the varied different types of cells and just make a soup out of it. There has to be some sort of hierarchy, some sort of structure. Klal Yisrael, the Jewish people, also have a three-tiered system of structure. You have each individual, that's not a structure, it's each person. The first unit is family. The second unit is shevet, tribe. And finally, Klal Yisrael together. We'll many times express our frustration about a seeming lack of unity, except for dire moments of crisis like now. But the truth is, you can't just take a hodgepodge of people and say, let's be together. There has to be a rational structure where people are fitting into certain functions and doing certain things and coming together as Klal Yisrael. Two of these strata exist only when Klal Yisrael is a nation or close to it. We were a nation, and then we split into two, and we had tribes. We had 10 tribes, Aser Hashvatim, and 2 tribes. We no longer were a full nation. We were conflicting tribes. That was our first setback. When the temple was destroyed and we were exiled, we lost that tribal structure. It's meaningless. We still have family. The only thing in Gullus, the only Jewish structure that survived and has to survive for the Jewish people to be a people is family, it's mishpacha. Pesach started before we were a people. We were in exile in Egypt. And the only unit that stayed was family. And the pasuk emphasizes that each family mentioned in the pasuk Chanochi and so on has God's name imprinted, showing that the integrity and the sanctity of the family remained under all circumstances. So Passover is a yontif that's rooted from the exile to the redemption. We keep that root of family. Hanukkah and Purim are the 2 holidays post-exile. And therefore, it can only really be focused on a family. So family is the structure that is critical to creating a Klal Yisrael. Even the kehillas that we have today are somewhat a semblance of a gathering of families, not individuals. So the one institution that is sacrosanct, that is critical for us to not be just a scattering of individuals, but something more, is family. The issues when a person is suffering from poverty, he's hungry, one issue is a person needs a meal. And providing a meal for a hungry person is a chesed. And that's tzedakah, and that's an amazingly important thing. But a family that is impoverished is a lot more than just hungry individuals, sad as that might be. It really frays the structure of the family. If someone is struggling with some sort of mental challenge, some emotional challenge, as an individual, the person is suffering, and helping the person is something that is tzedakah, it's help, it's kindness. But understanding that if a person is suffering, then the family, it is in disarray, whether it's a physical illness or an emotional illness. I once heard, my father told me over from Rabbi Lopiansky, who was one of the great figures in Lithuanian Jewry, a tremendous genius, but a man with tremendous depth of understanding of people. And he says, when you look at the brisa of all the things that we say in the morning, El Dvarim She'elam Shir, Hachnasas Kala, Levois Hameis, the different types of kindness we can do, the only one that's mentioned plural is Bikur Cholim, taking care of sick people, as opposed to Achnasas Kala, Levois Hames, and so on. And he said, because when somebody is ill, it's never one person. There are many people that are suffering from that illness, because it begins to fray the family. Studies have been shown, surprising, that the greatest risk factor for children is if one child in the family is seriously ill, then the other children are at risk for all sorts of abuses, because the parents are absorbed in that child, in the one that's not well. And the other children feel homeless, helpless. It's no one's at fault. That's what it is. Preserving integrity of the family, or making sure that if there is a destructive force in the family, what's needed to be done is done, are all parts of a holistic sense of what family is. It requires a lot more than money. It requires people who understand, who on the one hand understand the paramount value of family and how important it is to make sure that the family is running well, and also understand professionally what can be done, what needs to be done, what should be done. So Jewish Family Services is a lot more than just help, a lot more chesed. It's an expression, first of all, of a core value of what makes us a people. We are individuals whose first unit that we form is family. And people who might even be far from observant, mishpacha is something that it's almost universal in our sense of values, rightfully so, because it's a critical junction. If there's no mishpacha, there's not going to be a Klal Yisrael. A hodgepodge of people is not a nation, and it's not unified. A carefully built Klal Yisrael, with family being that first critical tier, is what makes us a people. So it's something very special, and I think the community here should be proud of itself. I believe it's probably the most sophisticated and developed structure like that around the country, that takes an entire community and focuses it using professional resources and Torah values to understand the needs of a family, to take whatever it takes to build that family, and to create healthy building blocks for Klal Yisrael. Mirz Hashem, this should be a model for others to follow. Understanding how critical looking at a family as a family is, understanding what needs to be done, and to do it with as much heart and selflessness as is done here. Ashreichem, you're fortunate that you belong to a community like that, and that you do such wonderful work. And Bez Hashem, everything about it should keep going. Michael, V'lchayel, Mirz Hashem, and hopefully the day will come when all the families come together, and we come together as a Klal Yisrael, B'mher V'yameinu. Amen.